Imagine ancient cities once dismissed as mere legends, now being unearthed exactly where Scripture said they would be. What if prophecies written thousands of years ago are literally emerging from the dust before our very eyes? For centuries, critics have labeled parts of the Bible as myth, folklore, or allegory. They claimed that entire civilizations, powerful kings, and pivotal events mentioned in its pages were nothing more than the product of a storyteller's imagination. But something remarkable has been happening over the last 200 years. Armed with shovels, brushes, and ground-penetrating radar, archaeologists have been digging into the soil of the Middle East. And what they've found is shaking the foundations of skepticism. They're not just finding pottery shards or old coins. They're finding entire cities, lost empires, and direct physical evidence that aligns with the biblical narrative in ways that are hard to ignore. Today, we're not just telling stories, we're following the evidence. We will explore 5 astonishing discoveries where history, against all odds, finally caught up to the Bible. From ghost empires that supposedly never existed, to prophecies of desolation that are still visibly true today, get ready to see Scripture in a whole new light. This is the Archaeology of Prophecy. Our first stop takes us to modern-day Turkey, to a mystery that stumped historians for decades, the case of the Ghost Empire. For a very long time, the Bible was one of the only major ancient texts to speak of a powerful group called the Hittites. In the Old Testament, they are mentioned dozens of times, trading with Abraham, selling land to him, and even serving in King David's army. But for scholars in the 19th century, this was a huge problem. Outside of the Bible, there was virtually no mention of them, no records from the Egyptians, no tablets from the Mesopotamians. The academic consensus was clear. The Hittites were a biblical fiction, a small, insignificant tribe at best, or a complete fabrication at worst. Critics used the Hittites as a prime example of the Bible's historical unreliability. But then, in 1906, everything changed. An archaeologist named Hugo Winkler began excavating a site in Turkey called Hattusa. What he unearthed was not a small village, but the sprawling, heavily fortified capital of a massive empire. He found royal archives containing thousands of clay tablets. These tablets documented the Hittite laws, their treaties, and their correspondence with other major powers of the day, including the Egyptian pharaohs. Suddenly, the Ghost Empire wasn't a ghost anymore. It was a bona fide superpower that had dominated the region, and its existence, once a point of ridicule, became an undeniable historical fact, confirmed in stone and clay, just as the Bible had always maintained. Next, we traveled to what is now northern Iraq, to the site of a city whose very name became a synonym for ruin, Nineveh. Nineveh was the capital of the fearsome Neo-Assyrian Empire, one of the most brutal and powerful empires in the ancient world. It was a magnificent city, known for its colossal palaces, lush gardens, and impenetrable walls. But the biblical prophet Nahum delivered a chilling prophecy against it. He declared that God would make an utter end of its place, that Nineveh would be laid waste and hidden. For over 2,500 years, that prophecy seemed to be more than fulfilled. The city was so completely destroyed and buried by the sands of time that people literally forgot where it was. Its location became a mystery, with many scholars believing the biblical descriptions were just legendary hyperbole. But in the 1840s, a British explorer named Austin Henry Layard began digging into a series of mysterious mounds near the modern city of Mosul. What he uncovered was astonishing. He had found the lost city of Nineveh. He unearthed the massive palace of King Sennacherib, its walls lined with carvings depicting his conquests. He even discovered the great library of Ashurbanipal, containing tens of thousands of cuneiform tablets that gave us an unprecedented look into the ancient world. The city wasn't a metaphor. It was real. It was immense, and its destruction and burial were so total that it remained hidden for millennia. An eerie testament to the prophet's words. From a city that vanished, we now turn to a city that refuses to be reborn, the great city of Babylon. In its heyday, Babylon was the cultural and economic center of the ancient world, the New York City or London of its time. It was famous for its towering ziggurat, its legendary hanging gardens, and its massive Ishtar Gate, shimmering with blue-glazed bricks. It was the heart of a global empire. Yet standing in the face of this immense power, The prophets Isaiah and Jeremiah delivered a shocking and seemingly impossible prediction. They prophesied that this magnificent city would become a desolation, a wasteland inhabited only by wild animals. Isaiah wrote that it would never be inhabited, or lived in from generation to generation. Over the centuries, Babylon's glory faded and its bricks crumbled. But the story doesn't end there. In the 20th century, a modern ruler with ambitions of grandeur, Saddam Hussein, saw himself as a successor to the great Babylonian kings. He poured millions of dollars into a massive project to resurrect the city, to rebuild its palaces and temples on top of the ancient foundations. He wanted to make Babylon the glorious capital it once was, but his project failed. War and political turmoil halted the reconstruction, and his lavish palace now sits in ruins alongside the ancient ones. Today, Babylon remains a desolate field of dust and broken bricks, a silent, sprawling ruin. Tourists can visit, but no one lives there. The prophecy written over 2,500 years ago, that it would never be inhabited again, remains unbroken, written in stone and sand. Now let's look at one of the most famous and debated stories in the entire Old Testament, the Battle of Jericho. According to the book of Joshua, when the Israelites marched around the city, its massive defensive walls miraculously fell down flat. For a skeptic, this sounds like pure fantasy. But what did archaeologists find when they excavated the site of ancient Jericho? For decades, the findings have been the subject of intense debate, particularly regarding the precise dating of the city's destruction. However, one of the lead archaeologists, Kathleen Kenyon, discovered something truly bizarre about the collapsed walls. In a typical ancient siege, an attacking army would use battering rams or siege towers to push a wall inward. The rubble would pile up at the base of the wall on the inside. But at Jericho, the evidence points to something different. The main mud brick wall collapsed and fell outward, away from the city. The pile of fallen bricks formed a sort of ramp leading up into the city. This physical pattern of collapse is an exact, peculiar match for the biblical account, which says the walls fell down in their place, allowing the Israelites to go up into the city. While arguments about dating and causes will likely continue, the physical state of the ruins presents a fascinating anomaly, a physical puzzle that aligns perfectly with the unique description recorded in the book of Joshua. Our next discovery takes us to northern Israel, to the ancient city of Hazor. The book of Joshua describes it as the head of all those kingdoms, a major Canaanite stronghold. The biblical account of the conquest of the Promised Land is very specific. It says that after defeating a coalition of northern kings, Joshua and the Israelites burned Hazor with fire. But they did not burn any of the other cities in the region. This is a very precise historical claim. So, what did archaeologists find? When they dug at Tel Hazor, they uncovered a massive city that had been violently destroyed. And at the layer corresponding to the time of the Israelite conquest, they found something dramatic, a burn layer of ash and carbonized debris that was up to 3 feet thick in places. This thick layer of ash is clear evidence of a catastrophic fire that consumed the entire city. Furthermore, archaeologists unearthed numerous Canaanite statues and idols that had been deliberately desecrated. They found statues with their heads and hands systematically chopped off. This is not the kind of damage that occurs in an accidental fire. It's the hallmark of a conquering group with a specific ideology, one that was vehemently opposed to idolatry, which is perfectly consistent with the biblical description of the Israelites. The evidence on the ground tells a story of a major city, the only one in its region, being utterly destroyed by a conqueror who hated its idols, the exact story told in the book of Joshua. So, what does all of this mean? From the fictional Hittites who turned out to be a real empire, to cities like Nineveh and Babylon, whose fates unfolded exactly as prophets predicted, the evidence is compelling. Archaeology doesn't prove faith in a scientific sense. You can't dig up a miracle or find a tablet that says God was here, but what it does do is confirm the historical framework in which the biblical events are set. It shows that the Bible is not a book of once-upon-a-time fairy tales. It names real people, real places, and real events. For a long time, many scholars even doubted the existence of King David, claiming he was a mythic figure like King Arthur. But then, in 1993, archaeologists at Tel Dan in northern Israel found a stone inscription, a victory stele from an enemy king, which clearly mentioned the House of David. It was the first extra-biblical evidence for the Davidic dynasty, and it was a bombshell. Again and again, things once dismissed as fiction are being reclassified as fact. The deeper we dig into the dust of the ancient Near East, the clearer the historical record becomes. It seems that the ground itself is bearing witness. As the prophet Isaiah wrote, "The grass withers and the flower fades. Our cities crumble and our empires turn to dust, but the word of our God stands forever." Which one of these discoveries surprised you the most? Was it the ghost empire of the Hittites? Or maybe the unbroken prophecy of Babylon's desolation? If you enjoyed exploring how history is being uncovered from the dust, and you want to see more content that digs deep into the fascinating intersection of faith and fact, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching.